AstroVastu interior design for Libra Rising, Tula Lagna. A Venus-led, air-earth balanced spatial doctrine for harmony, relational ease, and inner equilibrium for aware, empathic, and high-sensitivity individuals. What you are designing here is not a house. You are designing a field of balance for a Venus-ruled life expressed through air. As a Libra rising, space either supports harmony and relational ease or quietly destabilizes you until indecision, people-pleasing, emotional dissatisfaction, and fatigue become your background state. When the environment is wrong, the symptoms are subtle but persistent. Difficulty choosing, chronic low-grade dissatisfaction, relational exhaustion, over-adjustment, followed by withdrawal, and sensitivity around skin, kidneys, or hormonal balance. Your home must never feel aggressive, asymmetrical, or emotionally biased. It must feel fair, proportioned, and breathable. A place where your nervous system does not have to keep negotiating. 1. First house, Lagna zone, overall spatial identity, Venusian balance field. You should treat your Lagna zone as the point where equilibrium is established. The moment you enter, your system must feel, nothing is pulling me off center. If this zone feels visually uneven, emotionally charged, or dominated by one direction or element, Venus begins compensating through over-adjustment and self-doubt. You must prioritize symmetry, proportion, and visual fairness. Energy should distribute evenly, not rush or stagnate. Nothing here should feel louder, heavier, or more important than the rest. Libra destabilizes when space takes sides. Work with soft neutrals, warm white, pearl, pale beige, light dove gray, soft blush. These tones restore equilibrium. You may introduce gentle accents in sage green, dusty blue, or muted rose, but only in pairs or balanced placements. Single, aggressive accents create subconscious imbalance. Furniture must be proportionate and visually balanced. Avoid extremes, nothing too bulky, nothing too skeletal. Pieces should feel harmonious together, as if they are in dialogue rather than competition. Visible imbalance here translates directly into inner indecision. Lighting must be even, diffused, and flattering. Harsh spotlights or dramatic shadows disturb Venus. You need light that smooths edges and equalizes the field. You may place one object that represents harmony, a paired element, balanced artwork, or a softly curved form. If you use crystals, rose quartz or green aventurine placed symmetrically supports relational calm. Avoid cluttered symbolism. Avoid asymmetry, aggressive art, visual dominance, or empty minimalism. This zone must feel emotionally neutral, not empty or charged. 2. Second house, main entrance and threshold, relational gate, fair exchange, and self-worth. Your entrance determines how you meet the world and whether you feel pressured to adapt. For Libra rising, this zone must communicate fairness and ease, not demand. You should prioritize the east for conscious engagement and the north for social flow and mental equilibrium. Entrances that feel dark, narrow, or confrontational quietly increase social anxiety and boundary confusion. The door should feel refined and welcoming. Natural wood, soft cream, pale gray, or muted blue work best. Avoid harsh colors, black, or overly bold statements. Hardware should be smooth and elegant, nothing sharp or industrial. Lighting must be gentle and balanced. No harsh glare, no deep shadow. The threshold should feel like a calm meeting point. You should keep this area visually paired and uncluttered. Symmetry here is deeply stabilizing for Libra. If you use crystals, a small rose quartz or citrine placed to the side, never directly facing the door, supports fair exchange and self-worth. Avoid mirrors facing the entrance, clutter, loud decor, or anything that creates a sense of negotiation before you even enter. This zone should quietly say, you can arrive as you are. Shema 3, third house. Living room, social harmony and exchange without self-erasure. This space governs how you interact without losing yourself. If this zone is uneven, confrontational, or overstimulating, you may feel socially drained, unseen, or pressured to accommodate. You should design this space for gentle interaction. Use soft neutrals with subtle color. Pale gray, blush, muted blue, light sage. Avoid bold patterns or statement walls that dominate the field. Furniture should encourage equality. Seating should face each other gently, not confrontationally. Avoid one power seat that creates hierarchy. Libra needs balance, not dominance. Lighting must be layered and soft. Table lamps and floor lamps with diffused shades are preferable to strong overhead lighting. You may enhance this space with art that conveys connection, beauty, or calm exchange. Venus responds to grace, not intensity. Crystals like rose quartz or green jade can support relational ease if placed quietly. Avoid sharp corners, excessive minimalism, or decor that feels performative. When aligned, interaction feels nourishing rather than effortful. 4. Fourth house, inner emotional balance, peace through aesthetic and sensory harmony. This zone governs whether you feel emotionally settled. For Libra Rising, emotional health depends on sensory balance more than intensity. You should design this space to feel visually soothing and consistent. Use warm neutrals, soft taupe, pale clay, muted rose, or gentle moss tones. Avoid stark contrasts or chaotic color schemes. Furniture must feel comfortable and aesthetically coherent. This is not a place for experimental design. Choose pieces that visually belong together. Lighting should be warm, even, and calm. No flicker, no dramatic dimming. Candles are supportive here if they feel gentle and habitual, not symbolic. You may include personal items, but only those that evoke peace rather than emotional negotiation. One harmonious object, a ceramic piece, soft textile, or balanced artwork is enough. Avoid mirrors, clutter, or visual imbalance. This zone must feel emotionally neutral, not stimulating. Core Libra AstroVastu law. Balance restores choice. Choice restores self-respect. Self-respect restores harmony. When your home feels proportioned, fair, and breathable, Venus expresses as graceful relationships, refined self-worth, emotional satisfaction, and beauty without dependency. If your space feels uneven, aggressive, or emotionally biased, Venus overadjusts, and you slowly disappear to keep the peace. This is not aesthetic decor. This is relational nervous system architecture for a Venus air life. You should treat the fifth house as the place where joy is allowed to exist without negotiation. This is where pleasure, romance, and creativity must feel mutual rather than earned. If this space is visually unbalanced, overly dramatic, or too subdued, Venus begins to seek validation through others instead of enjoyment through self-expression. You should design this zone to feel light, graceful, and aesthetically pleasing without excess. Soft pastels, blush tones, pale peach, light lavender, gentle gold accents, or warm ivory work well here. These colors allow joy to arise naturally rather than being chased. Furniture should feel elegant and inviting, not rigid or performative. Curved forms, rounded edges, and comfortable seating that encourages lingering are ideal. This is not a productivity zone, it is a pleasure zone. Avoid sharp lines, harsh angles, or furniture that feels emotionally distant. Lighting should be flattering and warm, never harsh. This is an excellent space for soft lamps or a few candles, but always placed symmetrically. Uneven lighting disrupts Libra's sense of emotional fairness. You may enhance this area with art, music, creative tools, or objects of beauty that you genuinely enjoy using. Venus responds to live beauty, not display. Crystals like rose quartz, pink tourmaline, or green jade can support gentle joy if placed subtly. Avoid loud themes, excessive stimulation, or decor that demands attention. When aligned, joy feels shared with life itself, creativity flows without self-doubt, and romance feels nourishing rather than effortful. The sixth house governs daily harmony, cooperation, and relational health through routine. For Libra Rising, imbalance here shows up as quiet resentment, people-pleasing exhaustion, or loss of motivation rather than obvious stress. You should design this zone, especially the kitchen or daily use areas, to feel fair, calm, and aesthetically ordered. Use soft creams, pale greens, light blues, or warm neutrals. Avoid extremes. Stark white feels cold, dark colors feel heavy. The layout must support smooth movement and shared use. Everything should be easy to access, and nothing should feel like it belongs more to one person than another. Libra is deeply affected by perceived unfairness in shared spaces. Lighting should be clear but gentle. Shadows over work surfaces create subtle irritation and imbalance. You may enhance this zone with fresh elements: flowers, herbs, bowls of fruit, symbols of shared nourishment. Copper or brass accents are supportive if kept minimal and balanced. Avoid clutter, rushed layouts, or turning this space into a storage zone. When aligned, routines feel cooperative, health stabilizes gently, and daily life feels emotionally fair. The seventh house is one of the most important zones for Libra Rising. This is where intimacy, equality, and trust are either reinforced or quietly eroded. You must design the bedroom to reflect balance and mutual respect. Symmetry is essential here. Use paired lamps, matching side tables, and evenly distributed decor. Unevenness creates subconscious relational tension. Colors should be soft and soothing: warm grays, blush, muted lavender, pale taupe, or gentle blue. Avoid bold patterns or strong contrasts that create emotional noise. The bed should feel stable and centered, with a solid headboard. This gives Venus emotional reassurance. Natural fabrics, cotton, linen, silk, are deeply supportive. Lighting must be low, warm, and calming. Avoid overhead harsh lights. Mirrors should never face the bed. Reflection here disrupts emotional safety and intimacy. You may use subtle fragrance or candles, but only if they feel calming and shared, not indulgent or overwhelming. When aligned, intimacy feels safe, mutual, and emotionally restorative. The 8th house governs emotional residue, power balance, and unspoken tension. For Libra rising, clutter here quietly translates into resentment, emotional confusion, or fatigue from unexpressed imbalance. You must keep this zone orderly, closed, and neutral. Open storage or forgotten clutter creates subconscious relational weight. Everything stored here should feel intentional. Use grounding, neutral colors: stone gray, beige, off-white. Avoid dramatic tones that stir emotion. You should periodically review this space. Ask yourself what you are holding on to out of obligation rather than value. Libra tends to tolerate imbalance longer than it should. Storage systems, boxes, and labels are helpful here. If you work with crystals, smoky quartz, or hematite, placed discreetly can help release emotional residue. Avoid broken items, unresolved memorabilia, or anything that carries emotional charge you are not ready to address. When balanced, emotional weight lifts, power struggles soften, and inner calm strengthens. You should treat the 9th house as the place where your sense of fairness, meaning, and life philosophy finally settles into coherence. This is where Libra rising decides what is worth standing for. If this zone feels ideologically cluttered, visually chaotic, or morally confusing, you may notice chronic indecision, second-guessing, or the feeling that every choice carries emotional cost. You should design this space to feel refined, open, and mentally elevating. Light neutrals, soft creams, pale blues, gentle sage, or warm parchment tones work best. These colors help your mind widen without becoming overwhelmed. Avoid overly intellectual decor, heavy symbolism, or aggressive statement pieces. Libra needs resonance, not argument. Furniture here should feel upright and intentional. A comfortable but dignified chair, a clean desk or reading surface, and enough open space for reflection are ideal. This is not a lounging zone. It is a meaning-making zone. Lighting should be clear and uplifting. Natural light is ideal. Artificial light should feel balanced, not moody, not harsh. You want clarity without pressure. You may enhance this space with books you genuinely return to, art that reflects harmony or justice, or spiritual objects that feel inclusive rather than dogmatic. If you work with crystals, lapis lazuli or sodalite placed quietly can support balanced wisdom. Avoid clutter, conflicting belief symbols, or decor that pulls you into overanalysis. When aligned, decisions feel principled, values feel embodied, and your sense of direction stabilizes. The 10th house governs your public role, contribution, and authority in the world. For Libra rising, imbalance here often shows up as burnout from people-pleasing, avoidance of responsibility, or quiet resentment about carrying relational labor without recognition. You should design the space, especially a work-from-home area, to feel cooperative, fair, and aesthetically composed. Use soft neutrals with one refined accent, warm gray with blush, beige with muted blue, or cream with soft gold. Avoid aggressive power colors or sterile minimalism. Furniture must support upright posture and mutual respect. Your desk should feel welcoming, not imposing. Chairs must be comfortable, but not slouch-inducing. Libra authority works best when it feels shared, not enforced. Lighting should be balanced and even. Avoid harsh spotlights or dim, apologetic lighting. This is a visibility zone. You must feel seen without being exposed. You may include symbols of contribution, certificates, meaningful projects, or collaborative achievements, but keep them curated. Excess display creates pressure. Avoid clutter, chaotic paperwork, or isolating layouts. When aligned, professional relationships improve, responsibility feels shared, and authority feels natural rather than draining. The 11th house governs friendships, networks, and social reciprocity. For Libra rising, imbalance here often manifests as feeling taken for granted, emotionally overextended, or quietly withdrawing after giving too much. You should design this zone to feel open, welcoming, and equal. Light neutrals, airy pastels, and gentle metallic accents work well. Avoid overly personal or emotionally intense decor. This is a shared space. Furniture should encourage connection without crowding. Seating should feel flexible and inclusive. No one seat should dominate the room. Lighting must feel social and warm. Avoid dramatic contrasts or spotlighting that creates hierarchy. Libra thrives when everyone feels equally comfortable. You may enhance this space with plants, shared art, or objects that symbolize cooperation. If you work with crystals, green aventurine or jade can support balanced exchange. Avoid clutter, closed-off corners, or decor that feels exclusive. When aligned, friendships feel nourishing, support flows naturally, and social confidence returns without effort. The 12th house is where Libra Rising learns the deepest lesson. Balance does not require validation. This zone governs emotional reset, inner alignment, and release from approval seeking. You should design this space for quiet neutrality. Soft off-whites, pale grays, gentle beige, or muted lavender work best. Avoid strong color identity here. This zone is about dissolving roles. Furniture should be minimal and non-demanding. This is not a storage zone or a productivity zone. Open space is essential. Lighting should be indirect and soft. Lamps with fabric shades or reflected light are ideal. Avoid overhead brightness. You may place one calming object here: a smooth stone, a ceramic bowl, a simple candle, but nothing symbolic or emotionally loaded. If you use crystals, clear quartz or selenite placed quietly can support inner alignment. Avoid mirrors, visual noise, or emotionally charged items. When aligned, mental noise quiets, self-worth stabilizes internally, and relationships feel lighter because you are no longer negotiating your worth. Here, Libra learns that harmony begins inside and does not need agreement to exist.